we need to get her when she got married and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
I got married in 1950, and in the year 2000 we'll celebrate our 50th anniversary, July the 8th.
July the 8th.
And there's our wedding picture.
Where did you meet your husband?
I met my husband really in Las Cruces, and it had something to do with 4-H work, and there was a dance, and I saw him wearing a stiff white shirt at the entrance of the hall with younger people. He looked a lot older than they were. I didn't know what they were doing, but I didn't know what I was doing. We had a bunch of young kids that we had brought them to the dance, and then their parents would pick them up from there. And I didn't know that he was kind of doing the same thing, but he never told me that time. I mean, I didn't know, not until later. But I remember looking at him, and that it had some kind of meaning, but I didn't know him, and he didn't know me either. But eventually somebody introduced everybody, and I met him, but I didn't talk to him anymore. So then later on, when I was with Phyllis, Phyllis said, he keeps saying, don't you have a sister who's a teacher? That he kept asking her. She said yes, and she said, but she's out there in Monticello. And he said, well, he said something about, don't you ever go out there? She said, no, she comes over here to our house. And eventually I did get to know him that way, but through Phyllis, my sister. It wasn't very long after that when I began to be engaged, getting engaged, and then getting married.
And so you married, and then you had 3 kids.
Yes, Benjamin was born in 1951, and Dina was born in 52. She was just real close, like a 1 year and 3 months. And Rita was born in 1955. She was later.
And Rita, let's see, Dina is out at Claremont.
She's a professor. She's a doctor of humanities, and she's at Claremont College.
And she's doing the research on the Hispanic New Mexico women.
Women, and her book will be probably out sometime after January. And also a dictionary of Hispanic women all over the country. And Rita teaches math and developmental studies at New Mexico State through the branch, the Doñana branch. And she has just completed her orals for her doctorate. She'll have to do her defense on her thesis next.
And what was her thesis on?
Her thesis is on, very hard to explain, the relativity between language and math, qualitative analysis or something like that.
Yeah.
Very hard to explain for me. But she knows what she's doing, I guess.
And so you have no grandchildren?
No grandchildren. None of them are married, and they're all very busy working. But Benjamin lives with us because of his illness. And there was Benjamin too had completed his orals for his master's
In
archaeology and anthropology, and had passed his orals and written exams. And he had begun to do work on basketry at the Four Regions area in Farmington. I think that perhaps my ending should be that is on a sadder note, that I did see the demise of Monticello, Cañada La Mosa, where my roots really are, and I still hope that someday somebody will take care of those missions the way they were always taken care of. Because I saw my mom and dad pass away, and they were the best that could have been given to me. And then I saw Benjamin become ill when he had completed his best work, and today he doesn't remember the work that he did. He kind of blocks it out because he connects it with his illness.
Getting sick.
And my mom and dad did get to see that, and it saddened them. And
they didn't get to see Rita and Dina doing
and
their
they didn't
doctoral.
get to see Dina or Rita or Bill or Jerome, all of my other nephews and what they've done. And Phyllis's kids in California, one of her children is an air flight engineer. He flies all over the world, and they would have been very happy to see Bob. Lillian, Phyllis's daughter, is a reporter of the court and a very good legal person, you know, in law. So all of that makes me real happy. But I think that the happiest moment of my life has been when I've seen some of my students achieve, such as Herman, and what he has been able to do for his family, and then all of the teachers that are now teaching around here who were my students.
And you have to call them Mr. and Mrs.
Yes, like Sylvia in Array, and Alma Marufo in Hatch, and Yoli Batris, she's the principal, one of the principals in Hatch, and they were all my students, see. So I think this is while there's a sad beginning, there's also a joyous
But that's your legacy.
ending.
That's your legacy. All the years and all the lives you connected. And you touched through education.
And one day, Yoli Batris was having problems in Hatch as the principal. Someone had reported her, and she was really going through the mill in the afternoon. And she calls me at noon and says, Mrs. Gonzalez, this is what's happening, and you may not have heard. I said, no. And I listened and listened and listened, and then I said, well, do you want me to come and sit at your meeting? I said, I won't say anything, but I'll sit in the background if you want me to. She said, no, you would suffer a lot, and you've already had enough of that. She said, I just want you to know and just say your prayers, she said, and I know you're supporting me, and I just wanted you to know. And this is what made it feel, it made me feel good, because I thought, well, she still knows that I'm aware and that I'm concerned. She really didn't have much to worry about. It seemed like the whole community was there to support her. But that's young life, you know, she was very worried.
Vidal, thank you. We could interview you for a week. This has just been marvelous.
No, don't do it for a week.
We thank you for your time. This
You are
has been
welcome.
great.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And then later you bring them back to me. But maybe you can put them together with the rest of what you have.
It shows good, you betcha.
And then maybe you can come in August when Dina is here, because she has also done work on some of the movies they've done in California, like Zorro.
Oh, wow.
With the Hispanic background for the history of that. And it seems like even her name is in little tiny print at the end of the movie, but I don't know where. And then she also did this historical work for the National History Review that they did on the Southwest, and it came out on ABC, I think, this winter. And her name was that too in the little tiny print because of what she had contributed to the research.
Great.
So if when you come, she'd probably like to share with you on what you've got that she doesn't have, that has to do with the Trujillos. See?
And I've got some updated stuff on that I'll download one of my floppies so she can have that stuff. Because we've got you and obviously the Trujillos, but also then the day that I interviewed you on the phone, about 3 hours, and you were giving me all the names and everything.
And some of those I gave them out wrong, Sherry. Not till later did I discover that my grandpa Trujillo's Maria was his sister, and his daughter was Timotea. And I sounded as if Timotea was one of his sisters. Something like that.
Well,
I don't know what I did.
We'll pull that. When we have Pi, I'll pull my computer up and we'll correct that right now.
I didn't discover that either until maybe Rita was looking over something and
That I sent you.
something that you sent me, and then she said, oh, Mom, she said, you're confusing somebody here. You know?
Very good. Okay.
The ones that came through my mother were my godmothers or my grandmother. That's how come I have a double of those. And my sister Teresa has a double of those ovals of Saint Cecilia with her musical instruments. And you know what they said, that they would save coffee coupons to earn enough of them, and they would have to send like an extra $1 to get the oval saints. So Teresa has 2 of them and I have 2. And this altar part, it seems that it came from a church that burned, but I never found out where or what. And it too belonged to my great aunt, and that's how my mother got it. Then my mother had this of San Lorenzo, St. Lawrence, and Grandma Josefa had this of St. Joseph, and it was all broken up, but I patched it with that compound. And this too was all broken up in her closet, and I patched it. And this Sacred Heart I won in a raffle. It was just coming to me. But this is the oldest of all of them that I have. This too, my mom said that my grandmother won it through saving coupons with Procter & Gamble at the way back there, those years. And St. Anthony I received from someone on my 5th birthday, because that's my birthday, 13th of June, his day. I've always had it all my life, I guess, since then. And this is called the Holy Child of Jesus, but it's mostly from Mexico. And my brother Victor went to Palomas one time and was with a bunch of friends, but he left them all, and he went back to this shop where he had seen this, and he bought it for my mother. So when my mom died, she said, well, Victor, you can take it with you because you were the one to give. He said, oh no, I'm going to give it to my sister. Just one sister. So I've got it now. And that other that's the same version, and it's a Mexican version of the same Child of Jesus, they call it. And my uncle, the one that grew up with us, when he died, he told my mother to give it to me, and he took it to her house. So you see, I'm just bound to get these santos. Then my Aunt Josie, my mom's favorite sister, and she too grew up with us, because my mom and dad helped Uncle Santiago, Jim, and Aunt Josie. When my grandmother died, they were only 15 years old, and they went to live with us until they got married. So that's how come they're so close to us. So he too gave me that other one, he and my Aunt Josie, that St. Martin of Porres or something, San Martin.
San Martin.
So that's the story. And the ovals, one was my grandma's and one was my godmother's. So I was destined to get both.
And they match, and they're beautiful.
They match, and they seem to be made of very brittle stuff in the back. So when they get slightly moist, guess what happens? They crumble. So I have to be very careful with them when cleaning them and all of that. And then a lot of that other was here. It was Grandma Gonzalez, the ones with the wood frames. Some of the crochet little crosses that you saw in the living room with a red background and crochet. Sister Marie Paul has bought them. When she's gone to Belgium, she has brought them to me. So they're memories that she has brought.